Well, I think when you go out with someone for quite a long time, you do get to know each other very, very well. You go through the good times, you go through the bad times, both personally, but also within a relationship as well. And, I think if you can come out of that stronger.
What if the most shocking royal revelation was not about scandal or controversy, but about the creation of life itself? For years, the world looked at Prince William and Princess Catherine and believed their family was complete. Three beautiful children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, seemed to represent the perfect royal household. Public appearances, smiling photographs, carefully organized events gave the impression that everything about their life was steady and complete. Yet, as history has often shown, the truth behind palace walls is rarely as simple as it appears. Whispers began to spread, quiet and uncertain at first, but slowly gaining attention, suggestions that Catherine had quietly welcomed a fourth child. The idea left many people stunned, because in the age of endless media coverage and constant royal reporting, the possibility of a hidden birth seemed almost impossible. But to understand how such a revelation could even happen, one has to look back at Catherine's long and complicated journey into motherhood, because her story has always been about much more than photographs and titles. It has been about struggle, resilience, strength built in private moments that the world rarely sees. From the very beginning, Catherine's experience with pregnancy was difficult. When she was expecting her first child, Prince George, in 2013, the world imagined a glowing duchess full of joy and excitement, but the truth was very different. Behind closed doors, she was battling hyperemesis gravidarum, a severe condition far worse than morning sickness. This illness drained her. Energy left her bedridden and made even basic tasks like standing or drinking water a torment. Reporters were busy analyzing her outfits and guessing the baby's due date. But Catherine was waging a silent battle against exhaustion and constant sickness. She later admitted she never experienced the joyful glow people expect from pregnancy. Instead, she endured each day with quiet determination, supported only by William's presence and her own willpower. To survive those endless months, she turned to a practice called hypnobirthing. It was not a suggestion from royal doctors or advisors, but something she discovered herself. Through controlled breathing, visualization, and calming exercises, she tried to reclaim some sense of peace. It was more than just preparation. For labor, it was a way of regaining control, when so much felt out of her hands. Her honesty about these experiences later made her more relatable to mothers around the world. She admitted openly that she struggled, that she didn't always feel radiant or strong, and that sometimes the simplest comforts brought her the greatest relief. She often craved basic foods, potatoes, buttered toast, and even a simple vegetable curry made at a small wellness shop in her hometown. This wasn't the image of a royal dining on feasts prepared by top chefs. It was the image of a young woman, finding strength in humble meals, curling up on the couch, spoon in hand, trying to make it through another day. And it was this honesty that made people love her even more. Catherine was not pretending to be perfect. She was showing the world that even a future queen could struggle just like anyone else through those difficult pregnancies. William also transformed. He was no longer just the future king, but a husband deeply concerned for his wife. Remembered his footsteps outside the bathroom door, his hand always ready to steady her in hospital corridors, his attempts at telling silly jokes to distract her when the sickness became unbearable. Their love grew not through grand gestures, but through quiet moments of care and support. By the time George was born in July 2013, the bond between them had already deepened in ways the cameras could never capture. Catherine, pale but proud, stood outside the hospital with her newborn son, and the world saw something powerful. Not a princess untouched by labor, but a real woman showing her truth. This moment became a symbol of her strength, and it set the stage for every chapter that followed. As Catherine welcomed her other children, as Princess Charlotte in 2015 and Prince Louis in 2018, her journey continued to reflect both struggle and strength. Each pregnancy came with the same sickness, the same difficulties, and the same quiet determination. Yet Catherine never used her platform simply to hide those struggles. Instead, she began speaking about them, acknowledging how pregnancy affects not only the mother, but the entire family. She explained how William carried the weight of worry, how he often felt helpless but never abandoned her side, and how her children gave her the courage to keep going. Her words resonated deeply because they were not polished statements, they were raw human truths. And in those truths, people saw Catherine not only as a royal figure, but as a mother, a wife, and a woman with real challenges. At the same time, William's role as a father became increasingly important. He was no longer only the public figure who waved at crowds or delivered formal speeches. At home, he was the dad who walked George to school, who reassured his son when Catherine was too sick to come along, and who knelt down to explain that it was okay to feel nervous. That image of a future king, not in robes or uniforms, but holding his child's hand and whispering encouragement, was powerful. It showed the world that royal life was not just about tradition and duty. It was also about love, patience, and small everyday acts of kindness. William later admitted that fatherhood completely changed him, forced him to reflect on his own childhood, his grief over Princess Diana's death, and the kind of father he wanted to be. He said openly that becoming a dad was both the most amazing and the most frightening experience of his life. And his honesty about fear and responsibility made him more relatable than ever. Together, Catherine and William also became advocates for mental health. They spoke about how important it was to talk about struggles, to acknowledge pain, and to support each other. Catherine's openness about her pregnancies, combined with William's reflections on fatherhood, created a new kind of royal leadership, one rooted not in distance or perfection, but in vulnerability and empathy. This was something entirely different from the generations before them. They were showing that strength does not mean hiding emotions. It means being brave enough to share them. And yet, even with this openness, the rumors of a fourth child came. As a shock, people wondered how it was possible that such significant news could be kept private in the modern world of constant media attention. But when one remembers how fiercely Catherine and William protect their children's privacy, the possibility becomes less surprising. They have always balanced their public roles with a desire to give George, Charlotte, and Louis as normal childhood as possible. The idea that they might shield a fourth child from the spotlight, at least in the beginning, is entirely in line with the way they have approached parenting. For them, family comes first, before tradition, before expectations, before the world's gaze. If the rumors are true, then this hidden chapter reflects Catherine's quiet courage once again. It shows that even after the sickness, the exhaustion, and the immense challenges, she chose motherhood again. That choice, born not of duty but of love, is perhaps the most powerful statement of all. It also means that William continues to grow in his role as a father, balancing the weight of a crown with the responsibility of bedtime stories and backyard games. Their story is not about perfection. It is about resilience, partnership, and love lived out in the details of everyday life. So what does this secret fourth child mean for the royal family? Why has it captured so much attention? On one level, it is about surprise. In an age where every detail of royal life is examined, the idea that something as monumental as a birth could remain private seems extraordinary. On another level, it is about emotion. People feel connected to Catherine because she has shared her vulnerabilities, her struggles, and her truths. They remember her pale but proud outside the hospital, her words about not glowing in pregnancy, her honesty about how deeply the sickness affected her, and her insistence that waste should be avoided even in royal closets. All of these details made her human. And so, the idea of her quietly welcoming another child does not just show Kit, touches people deeply. It feels like being invited into the most private chapter of her life. The speculation also raises questions about how Catherine and William will continue to balance tradition with their own values. Will they once again allow the cameras to capture a brief moment outside the hospital, showing the world their child? Or will they choose a quieter introduction, protecting this baby from the frenzy of attention that has surrounded their other children? No one can predict their decision, but based on their history, it is likely to be guided by love rather than expectation. Catherine has always placed her children's well-being before public appearances. William has always spoken about wanting his children to have as normal a life as possible. Together, they have shown that being royal does not mean sacrificing the humanity of family. More importantly, the story of a fourth child highlights Catherine's strength as a mother. She once said, "Pregnancy wasn't always joyful for me, but I am thankful for who I became because of it." That statement captures the essence of her journey. For her, motherhood has been filled with trial, sickness, exhaustion, anxiety, but also with growth, resilience, and joy. Each child has changed her, not just as a princess, but as a person. And if she has chosen to walk this road again, it proves that her courage and love are stronger than any challenge. For William, this moment is another step in his evolution. He has already shown that he is not only a future king, but a modern father present, vulnerable and deeply loving. With each child, he has learned more about patience, empathy, and the meaning of family. His role is no longer defined only by speeches or traditions, but by the way he kneels to comfort his children, the way he learns from their honesty, and the way he finds strength in his partnership with Catherine. Together, they have redefined what it means to be royal in the 21st century. In the end, whether or not the palace confirms the rumors, Catherine's story remains one of quiet heroism. She is a princess not because of jewels or titles, but because of her resilience. She is a mother not only in blood, but in love, sacrifice, and strength. She has faced challenges that could have broken her, but instead they shaped her into a figure admired not only for her elegance, but for her humanity. And as whispers of a secret fourth child continue to echo around the world, one truth shines brighter than all others. Catherine will face whatever lies ahead with the same grace she always has, gentle, determined, and unshakably strong. When people think about the royal family, they often picture the crowns, palaces, and ceremonies. But behind all of that, there is a real family just trying to live as normally as possible. Prince William and Princess Catherine, also known as the Prince and Princess of Wales, have always wanted to give their children the best chance at a happy childhood. From the very beginning, William has made it clear that before he is a future king, he is first a husband and a father. He has often shared in interviews that having children completely changed the way he looks at the world. He worries not about his royal duties, but about the kind of life and future his children will grow up in. He wants them to grow up in a world where kindness, love, and values matter more than appearances or titles. This became clear when he once said in an interview that being a parent makes you think seriously about the kind of world that you are leaving behind for your children. That is why in their home, William and Catherine try to focus on love and family first, even though their lives are constantly in the spotlight. The couple has worked hard to create a balance between royal duties and private family life. Want Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis to understand who they are, but also to enjoy a normal childhood like any other kids. At their country home at Amur Hall, the children run barefoot in the garden, ride ponies, and even get messy baking in the kitchen, while the world sees polished photographs of them at royal events. What people don't see are the simple, chaotic, and happy moments at home, like when the children fight over who gets to lick the spoon after baking, or when Louis makes silly faces during family gatherings. Catherine and William believe these little moments of laughter and play are just as important, maybe even more important, than standing on balconies and waving to crowds. Their parenting style is also modern compared to previous royal generations. William, shaped by his own childhood and the struggles he faced after losing his mother, Princess Diana, has made sure his children grow up in an environment where emotions are welcomed, not hidden. He has openly said that he and Catherine encourage George, Charlotte, and Louis to talk about their feelings freely. This is something very different from how royal families were raised in the past, where showing emotions was often seen as a weakness. A clear example of this new parenting style can be seen in how Louis behaves in public. During the Trooping the Colors ceremony, he pulled funny faces and waved in his own cheeky way. Rather than scolding him, William and Catherine smiled, showing the world that he feels safe enough to be himself. This is the kind of childhood they want for their kids, confident, open, and filled with love. But life has not always been easy. For Catherine, with each of her pregnancies, she faced a serious condition called hyperemesis gravidarum, which causes extreme sickness and weakness. It was difficult for her to go through it, especially under the eyes of the media, where every detail of her health was watched and discussed. During those times, William stood firmly by her side. He would rearrange his schedules, protect her from unnecessary stress, and make sure she had what she needed. These challenges, though hard, only brought them closer as a couple. They learned to lean on each other and trust one another even more. After the birth of their 3 children, most of the world thought their family was complete. 3 children seemed perfect in Prince George, a spare in Princess Charlotte, and the adorable youngest child, Prince Louis. The public was content with this image of a modern royal family of 5. But what no one knew was that in their private life, William and Catherine still hoped for one more child. This was not because of duty or tradition, but because of their personal dream of growing their family. Unlike before, they did not want this experience to be controlled by outside pressure or endless media attention. They wanted to experience it quietly, as any parents would want, surrounded only by love and privacy. Catherine, knowing the difficulties she had faced before, chose to keep her 4th pregnancy private for as long as possible. With William's help, she carefully managed her health and stayed out of the spotlight. William once again became her protector, inventing reasons for her to miss certain public events, making sure she had time to rest, and distracting attention when questions arose. Only a very small group of trusted friends and family knew the truth. For the rest of the world, nothing seemed unusual. People had no idea that a huge royal secret was quietly growing inside the palace walls. The children, however, were told. Early on, George, Charlotte, and Louis were filled with excitement and joy at the idea of having a new sibling. They would ask questions, talk to Catherine's belly, and imagine what life would be like when the new baby arrived. These private, family moments were filled with laughter, hope, and love moments that no media cameras could capture. For William and Catherine, this was exactly what they wanted. A chance to enjoy this special journey without the constant noise of the outside world. When the time came to share the truth with the world, William and Catherine knew they wanted to do it differently. In the past, with George, Charlotte, and Louis, the announcements had been grand, with media camped outside the hospital, waiting to get the first glimpse. But this time, they wanted it to be simple, personal, and on their own terms. So when their 4th child was born, they didn't rush to hold a press conference or allow reporters to swarm the hospital. Instead, they shared a quiet, powerful photo on their official social media account. The image showed the tiny hand of the newborn clutching Catherine's finger, along with a short, heartfelt message of joy. The world was stunned. Social media exploded with reactions. For days, the internet was filled with shock, excitement, and celebration. How could such a huge event have been kept a secret? How had no one in the press discovered it earlier? People admired William and Catherine's ability to protect something so personal in such a public life. It showed that despite the constant cameras and attention, they could still create a safe, private world for their family when it mattered most. For William and Catherine, this birth was not just about welcoming another child, it was a symbol of their growth as individuals and as a couple. When George was born, they were young, nervous parents, unsure of how to balance royal duty with parenthood. By the time Louis arrived, they were more confident but still learning. With the 4th child, everything felt different. They were experienced, calm, and strong. Catherine, who had once struggled so much with her pregnancies, carried herself with grace and resilience. William, who had admitted his fears about being a father years earlier, now embraced it with full confidence. He had grown from a worried young man into a protective father of 4, guiding his family with steady hands. The older children embraced their new sibling beautifully. George stepped up with maturity, ready to take on the role of an older brother who could help guide and support. Charlotte, with her loving and spirited nature, became a natural little caretaker often singing softly to the baby and helping Catherine. Louis, who was no longer the youngest, was thrilled to share his playful energy with the new arrival. The baby instantly brought a fresh sense of joy and wonder into the family, strengthening their bond even more. The significance of this new child reached beyond the family. For the monarchy itself, it was a reminder that the royals are not just figures of tradition, but also human beings with real emotions and dreams. William and Catherine's decision to keep the pregnancy private and the birth simple sent a powerful message. They were showing that even though they live in the public eye, they have the right to protect what is most sacred, their family. This act of privacy was revolutionary compared to the usual royal customs, where nearly everything is shared with the public. The reaction from people around the world was proof of how much William and Catherine are loved. The public did not feel angry or cheated for being left out of the secret. Instead, they admired the couple even more. Many parents related to their choice to guard their family's peace. The simple announcement photo became one of the most shared and liked royal images online, not because it was glamorous or staged, but because it was real. For Catherine, this journey was especially meaningful. After facing health challenges and the pressure of public pregnancies before, this fourth child gave her the chance to experience motherhood in the way she had always dreamed, quietly, safely, and surrounded by love. For William, it was the ultimate proof that he could protect and care for his family while still carrying the weight of his royal role. Together, they showed the world that being a royal couple did not mean losing their humanity. The birth of the fourth child also changed the way people looked at the future of the monarchy. For centuries, royal families have been seen as distant and untouchable, more about duty than love. But William and Catherine have built something different. They have shown that it is possible to honor tradition while also being modern, relatable, and emotionally connected. By openly sharing their struggles with parenting, mental health, and compassion, they have created a new image of what royals can be. The fourth child is not just a baby in the royal line, it is a symbol of this new era. An era where royals can raise their children to be open-hearted, empathetic, and grounded in normal experiences, even while growing up in palaces. William and Catherine's family is proof that royalty does not have to mean coldness or distance. It can mean laughter in the kitchen, muddy shoes in the garden, and bedtime stories after a long day. This child represents the continuation of their love story, a reminder that even in the most public of lives, the most important things are private moments of love. For the three older siblings, the new baby brought not only excitement, but lessons in responsibility and care. George began to understand more deeply what it means to be a leader, not just in the future as king, but right now as an older brother. Charlotte embraced her nurturing side, showing the world that even the spare can play an important role filled with compassion and strength. And Louis, who had always been the playful, cheeky child, learned to share his place with someone younger, a lesson in growing up that shaped his character. Together, the four children now form a close-knit unit, each with their own personality, but all tied together by the love and guidance of their parents. The public reaction also highlighted how much the royal family has changed. Instead of focusing only on royal duty and headlines, people connected emotionally with the story. Millions of families around the world related to the desire to keep private moments safe. Parents everywhere understood the wish to protect their children from unnecessary attention. The story of the fourth child was not just a royal headline. It became a human story, a universal one. For William and Catherine, this child completed their vision of family life. They were no longer the nervous young parents standing outside the hospital with George years ago. They were now experienced, strong, and united, facing the future with confidence. They had built a home filled with love, lessons, and joy. And even though they carried the heavy weight of royal duty, they showed that the most important crown they wear is the one of parenthood. In the end, the story is not about a royal birth. It is about love, resilience, and the courage to protect what matters most. William and Catherine proved that it is possible to live under constant public eyes, yet still hold on to private happiness. Their fourth child is more than just another member of the royal family. This baby is a symbol of strength, privacy, and the enduring love between William and Catherine. As the world celebrated this beautiful surprise, one thing became clear. The Prince and Princess of Wales are not just rewriting the rules of modern monarchy, they are writing their own story, one loving chapter at a time. And in this chapter, Catherine's tears were not of pain, but of joy, relief, and gratitude for the family she and William had created together.